Welcome to episode 300 of Sports Geek. On this week's episode, I chat with NRG co-founder and Sacramento Kings co-owner, Andy Miller.
Welcome to Sports Geek, the podcast built for sports digital and sports business professionals. And now, here's your host who is proud to reach the 300th episode milestone, Sean Callanan.
Thanks, DJ Joel. Yes, my name is Sean Callanan, and you are listening to the 300th episode of Sports Geek. Thank you to everyone who has listened. As always, you can find me on social media at Sean Callanan or at Sports Geek is where you can find Sports Geek and myself on most channels. Or if you want to reach out to me the old-fashioned way, you can send me an email, Sean at sportsgeekhq.com. As always, you can find the podcast on all good podcasting platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Pocket Cast, my favourite. Please, if you haven't left a review, if you listen to one of the 300 episodes I've released and haven't left a review, please do so. I did notice on the Australian iTunes podcast rankings, we've reached 100 ratings. So thank you very much to reach triple figures in Australia. Really do appreciate everyone who leaves a review, especially those 5-star reviews. We're at an average of 4.9 on Apple Podcasts. So thank you very much. 300 episode milestone. What a time. Over 600,000 downloads. I'm very appreciative if you've listened to one episode. If you've listened to all 300, that's about 9 days of listening to Sports Geek podcasts. So thank you very much for putting aside 9 days of your life to learning from the exceptional sports business guests that I've had on the podcast over the years. Some of the people have come on multiple times. Thank you for those who've supported me over the years. I love extrapolating listening time. If I take the average length of my podcast and the downloads and how many people have downloaded it, it pretty much puts the stats at over 50 years of listening. So people have been listening to the podcast effectively longer than I've been alive. So I really do appreciate it. Very appreciative of everyone who listens. And it's the reason I keep doing it. I did take note. There was a podcasting study put out recently. There's over 2 million podcasts in the Apple Podcast directory. James Cridlett at Pod News did some analysis, and Casey Newton also tweeted out about it. But 37% of those podcasts do 2 or less podcasts, and it's only roughly around 750,000 people get past 10 episodes. So I didn't get the stats on how many people have hit 3 figures or hit 300, but I'm in the minority as far as people who produce podcasts. So I'm really proud to get Sports Geek to 300. Also done another couple of podcasts, Beers, Blokes and Business. I did for a 90-episode run for a couple of years, and now kicked off the Play Media podcast, which is available on YouTube. We've done 8 episodes of that, and so we'll push through that 10-episode threshold soon, looking at the world of gaming. And also, if you haven't listened to the Sports Geek Amplify series, the first season is out now, 5 episodes and counting. We're definitely going to push through that 10-episode mark. So I really do love podcasting. Obviously, I keep doing it, but I do it because of the support of yourselves as listeners. So I really do appreciate it, and really do appreciate the people who have supported our Patreon campaign, because it helps pay for the costs around hosting, getting the podcast edited. A big shout out to my podcast editor, James. Shout out to DJ Joel, who does the voiceovers and has done for many, many episodes. You can support those efforts on what we do in the podcasting space, and also what we do with our sports business content across Zoom calls and Sports Geek News. You can do that by becoming a Patreon subscriber. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/Patreon. And you can do so for as little as $4 a month. Check it out. Check out the options there. You can do it monthly, or you can do it in a yearly option if you don't want to be hitting your credit card every month. Before I get into my chat with Andy Miller from NRG and the Sacramento Kings, I just want to quickly say, is there a way I can help you? If there is a way I can help you, please reach out. Doing a lot more online education and training and some Facebook best practice around advertising recently. Really enjoyed doing that to a group of folk, helping them understand how they can maximize what they're doing in Facebook and Instagram. So if you think your team might need some education training, bring them up to speed on particular topics or tactics, happy to discuss how we can help you. Obviously, we've got my Pick My Brain sessions where it's a 2-hour session where we can dive in on a topic that you want to tackle. It can be one-on-one if you want to brainstorm or look at a particular strategy you're tackling, or you can do it as a team. What I love doing is helping teams better understand how they can better commercialize their assets. So if you're looking to maximize what you're doing in the digital, we can apply the digital dollars process and what we want to do. And one of the things I'm really grateful for from the podcast is the clients that I've worked with due to the podcast. So if you're one of those people who have been considering reaching out and saying, hey, Sean, how can you help? Please do so. Just go to sportsgeekhq.com and just click on the links or reach out, Sean at sportsgeekhq. I really do appreciate the work that comes from you as Sports Geek podcast listeners. This episode, I'm really pleased to connect and talk to Andy Miller. He is in the esports space, like myself, with NRG, which is a gaming-focused business where they do stuff in esports and across content. Really good conversation. He comes from a tech background and he is the co-owner of the Sacramento Kings in the NBA. So I hope you enjoy this episode and this chat with Andy Miller. Very happy to welcome Andy Miller, the CEO and founder of NRG Esports. Andy, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
So, like myself, you have a geek background. How did your tech career lead you into the world of sports and gaming?
Well, the sports was always there, from day one, well before the tech. So I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. And if anyone knows Boston, if you're not a sports fan, it's hard to carry on a conversation with anyone there. It's all about sports. Great fans, very dedicated. And so I grew up just in love with sports. And I was lucky enough through my tech career to be able to get involved. I sold a company to Apple, which was wonderful on a lot of levels, moved me out from Boston here to California, and helped me get involved in traditional sports. I got involved in baseball, and then now I'm a co-owner of an NBA team, the Sacramento Kings. So
how did being a co-owner of the Sacramento Kings, you're part of the ownership group there. How did that come together? How do you get to be part of a group that makes a bid on an NBA franchise?
Yeah, it was almost an accident in a way. So I was, Boston kid, loved sports, moved out to California, had some money, got into minor league baseball and out here with the Rockies, and I loved it. And it was great. But minor league baseball, for any of your viewers who don't know, the owners of the team are not the owners of the franchise. So the Rockies did not own the single A team. We did. And basically we're like in a partnership. They control everything, players, everything, and we control everything with it, outside the white lines, if you will. So the stadium, the concessions, advertising, tickets, whatnot. So it's cool, but it's not traditional sports and major league sports. And I wanted to see if we could get into that. So I tried to put a group together with a few guys to take a run at buying the Oakland A's, which is always rumored to be for sale, but never for sale. And as we were doing that, all this well-documented drama started with Steve Ballmer trying to buy the Sacramento Kings and move them to Seattle. Technically, he bought the team, but never really didn't win the vote for a relocation. And so we were approached as a group that was out there with some other SAC folks by the mayor, then Kevin Johnson, former NBA star, said, hey, if you love baseball, how about basketball? And if you're willing to work with us, we'll throw the full weight of the city behind you. I know that the commissioner doesn't want to rip Sacramento, their fans away, basketball away from their great fans, but we got to build a stadium here. And so you want to work together. So we quickly did. We shifted to that, added a bunch of people, and we're lucky enough to fight off what we were promised would never be a bidding war because we would never compete with, Steve Ballmer. Obviously I'm biased, but I think it was beyond the right decision to leave the most loyal fan base in the NBA, in Sacramento.
That's it. When I spoke to Andrew Nicholson at the Kings, like the rabid fan base that the Kings fans have for many, many years, despite not having the success of close by neighbours like the Warriors, the Sacramento Kings fans have stuck through thick and thin, and so that resulted in the Golden One Centre. And do you think there was a lot of, because you've got a tech-savvy ownership group, was that a big part of making sure that had all the tech bells and whistles and, the best in fan experience in building out that arena?
100%. That was our goal. Like, we were the Warriors just finished their arena, but we definitely hold a candle to them. And we, were maybe still are the most, technically advanced arena in the world, from every bit of it, how we power it, how we cool it, using the Delta Breeze, not really air conditioning, to being able to control the flow of air around your seat with an app. We literally have it's the only outdoor indoor arena in, I think, North America, but at least the NBA, where what we did was we carved out a bowl and sunk most of the lower bowl underground, if you will, and the plaza levels up here. And then on the sides, you have massive, like, I think they're SpaceX hangars, glass doors that fold up 3-4 stories high, and you have open air, outdoor, indoor, for all sorts of things. We have amazing concerts, great plaza. So the place is, we have the biggest 4K scoreboard in the world. It's fun. It's a great time to go to the games. Really, that's something we did very, very well.
I mean, I guess that open air component. So looking forward, when fans are able to come back to the arena, like airflow in arenas has been a big issue in those indoor arenas around COVID. Do you think there's an opportunity that as a design feature becomes something that actually makes the stadium even more safer, when fans start to return?
That's really interesting. It might be. Sacramento is very hot in the summer, but in the fall and winter, it's beautiful, and it's probably not much different in Melbourne, actually, now that I think of it. But the only issue with that is, I remember when we tested the doors the first time, and we're going up and down one of the first few times, and some kid flew a drone in. And that was it, right? So then there were snipers, NBA and league security we have every night. So the doors don't get open during the games much. So I will have to see how that plays out. But it is the airflow is obviously one of the advancements there.
And so how is you've now been in the NBA ecosystem and part of the team owners meetings and those kind of things for 8 years. How has the NBA changed over the past 8 years?
Well, Adam Silver, took over as commissioner. He's amazing after Stern died, who was amazing. The league is super social savvy, socially conscious, social media. The expansion around the world has been tremendous, seeing the growth of the NBA and just basketball in general, but it's all part of the big plan. Super tech savvy group. I think we'll see open to lots of ideas and growth, and just very measured, and really, I think, a great relationship with the players as well.
And so that was 2013, and then you founded NRG Esports in 2015. Are you been a long time gamer? What led you to the world of video games?
Not really. I played like everybody else did, probably growing up, but a couple things. One, my boys, so 2 boys playing games all the time. And then I started watching them watching Twitch. And Twitch back in 2015 wasn't what it is now. But I was amazed. I was like, what are these numbers? This is all people talking to the guy, and he's responding, and they're donating. And I said, what's this number? I remember very clearly. And they said, oh, that's the amount of concurrents who are watching right now. And I said, so there's 26,000 people watching this kid right now? 26,000 people is what most teams in most leagues get for their home matches for viewership, like household-wise. And that kid was going to stream for 6 hours every day, 8 hours. So I really thought, wow, this is a great cohort of 15 to 30-year-olds who, are cord cutters or ad blockers. This was really interesting. So I started talking to one of my co-owners, Mark Masterov, who is the founder of 24 Hour Fitness. And his kids, the complete opposite of mine, they're like giant Nordic god Division I athletes, and mine are more geeky kids. And they all got along. They all played games together. It was a great equalizer. His whole family played games, and we said we should get a team, and we did. And then Shaquille O'Neal joined us because Shaq and I, and Mark and Shaq especially, have had a long-term relationship, and we just started making mistakes. With your team, like, it's super hard, and we were overwhelmed and overmatched at first, but last couple of years have been phenomenally explosive for NRG, from both. Competitive, we've been winning a lot, but also from our sort of fan base, and I would say it's more because of our content and our influencers and really our short form content that's really grown the awareness of the team and what we do than winning. But esports, the pure esport part, is definitely been a part of the recipe.
I mean, that is the balance. I think every esports gaming org is trying to figure out how much they're on that competitive side and how much doing that content side. You've found that working with streamers, working with content creators has helped build out the NRG fam, as you guys call it.
Yes, 100%. We launched another brand in mid-December, called Full Squad Gaming. You should check it out, especially on TikTok. It's been unbelievable. Like, it's a casual brand. It's around a couple guys, Grady, who's our everything, our head of, executive producer, and Ben. And we signed a bunch of TikTokers and YouTubers, and, we hit 2 million followers in like a month and a half. And, most videos we drop do 500,000, 1 million, 2 million views. And it's been incredible for brand building, for sure. Same with our YouTube and others. So I really feel like that's how you get to know everybody. And esports, gaming is huge, right? Esports is this big and massive gaming. So there's a lot to it. Depends what you want to do with your org and what you want to be. Some people want to be, the Dallas Cowboys of esports, and other people want to be the Supreme of esports, and other people want to be the Netflix of esports. So everybody's got their little take on it.
And coming from an advertising background yourself, how are you seeing, I guess, brands connect with NRG, either on the esports and the content side? How has that evolved? It's, early on it would have been, slapping a logo on a jersey and telling a sponsor and sort of doing it the sports way. How has that evolved, and how are sponsors being a bit more sophisticated in asking what they want from NRG from a deliverables point of view?
Yeah, super hard in the early days. No matter what, you walk in with Shaq or relationships, they're like, I don't know, and we don't do logos, logo slaps. But great example now how it's evolved is that Full Squad Gaming is based on this thing we call the NRG Castle, which instead of making a training center for our guys with great scrim rooms and massage therapists and nutritionists, which we still have great facilities, and our guys win a lot without the giant center. We said, like, what do the fans really care about that? Aspirationally, maybe they want to be a player and they want to be on our Overwatch team and win a championship. Great, the Shock's awesome, but we wanted to do something for the fans, so we built out the castle, which is kind of like if it was a big MTV show up here in the States called Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory for skateboarding, or Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory of gaming, and it's freaking crazy in there, and it's artists designing sets from movie designers and TV shows, and there's all sorts of wackiness in there. We filmed tons of content in there, and we just got our biggest sponsor ever, which is Hot Pockets, which is doing some sponsor work with the teams, but everything that goes in and out of that castle, the content, is what they're interested in to really connect with the everyday gamer. Our announced video did, I think, 8x from what they were hoping. So we're off to a great start, but you start to utilize all your people and all your properties in a way that's a little different than a traditional sports team does.
Yeah, and it becomes, that content warehouse for the brands. It is tough for Hot Pockets to create content that connects with an audience, whereas you've got killer content creators, really tight association with your brand and your teams and those creators, and that's where you can translate those kind of deals with someone like Hot Pockets.
Yeah, you got to put it all together, right? Because if you're just going to be a pure esports team, at least in the United States, where it's very, very competitive, I think you're going to be eating crickets in the desert because it's expensive. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the last year has been tough for a whole bunch of sports, obviously, with not a lot of fans,
Sure.
and especially the Overwatch titles that were really pushing their chips in on the stadium events. How do you think Overwatch and the like are going to sort of bounce back when fans do return? Are you a believer in the esports event model and having fans in stands and watching games?
Oh yeah, I'm not 100%. We did sign up for Overwatch League and we're part of Call of Duty League, but I was never personally a giant fan of, you get 20 home games. It's like, that's really hard. Like I see our minor league baseball team, like it was hard to get on a Saturday night when you had someone phenomenal rehabbing from the major leagues, you get 4,000 or 5,000 people. Like we're not going to get 20 nights of 4,000 people. But when you do events, like we sold out our 2 events for the Shock, which was about 3,000 tickets. And we sold out a weekend for the Huntsman, which was about 7,000 tickets. So people want to go to events and they're a blast and they're phenomenal. I mean, I've been to 8 billion basketball and baseball games and there's football games and there's lots of amazing memories, but like the energy at every esport game, every esport event is massive. They don't get a clunker. People will have a great time and it's a lot more than just a competition. So I think that model is great, especially in other places around the world, like, big esport emerging markets like Vietnam or places where like the esport team is going to be the team of Vietnam. They don't have 7 professional leagues and 8 other things going on every day. And this is what a young population is growing up rooting for. So I'm a big believer in it. I'm just not a believer in copying traditional sports at all with sort of a home and away model.
Yeah. I agree. Because like the going to an event is a light bulb moment for people who don't quite get it. And then it also is a great way for brands to realize, we can connect with these, ad blocking. We never see them. They're not watching our content, but when you see them in real life, cheering the same way they would be cheering at a Kings game, it does help. It does help that sponsor piece to go, this is why we're getting involved. And I agree. Like the slow build of these big events and these must-attend events, eventually we might get down the track that a home and away series works. I mean, we're seeing that in parts of Asia that it's becoming standard, but it's like they've had 5 or 6 years of building up to that and haven't just gone to that model straight away. Yeah,
100% agree.
And so post-COVID, hopefully we're moving into that phase of post-COVID. What do the plans look like for NRG? What are things you're excited as events start opening up and the world starts going back to normal?
Yeah, so we opened the castle up during COVID, and then haven't been able to use it much until recently. So we did that Hot Pocket shoot and got a good chunk of our guys there and girls, and we want to wear the place out. I hope it's a beehive of activity and that all of our players come in and out and artists and athletes and musicians. Like we're right near Staples Center in LA, downtown LA. So we want that to be just like Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory, where anyone who came to LA at that time wanted to go. And so we want to host events there. I'm looking forward to Overwatch League finally starting. It's been the longest off season ever, but there's 3 events there as well. So that stuff I think will be very big. And I'd like to see what happens. Like a lot of orgs and teams have kind of turtled in a way in the last year because they're not content orgs. So when you're not content org and you're just playing games, you got to do some other stuff. So I'm interested to see what they're doing. And we've got some collaborations coming up and some team houses and a lot of content stuff. So I think that's going to carry us through the year. And one big surprise over the summer, I hope that is open to anyone in the world to play in. So we're working on something really cool that I hope we can announce in a month or 2.
Oh, well, that's a tease for everyone who's listening, but hopefully it's a big tease. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot of exciting things happening. And I think that, you did say, people have been everyone's making plans for the comeback. So, when we do it, I'm looking forward to potentially Melbourne Esports Open and having 20, 30,000 people at Rod Laver Arena and because we can do it in this part of the world. I think it will be exciting when those kind of things come about. You've still got a strong tech background. You're obviously keeping your eyes on the latest trends. Is there anything in the sports tech or the gaming space that has you excited?
Betting. I can't, we are in the States here. Every few weeks you hear about, the New York state legislature has approved gambling in New York. Pennsylvania has been approved. New Jersey, go down the list. Sports books. And you look at our audience, right? Our audience, look at my sons, 18, 17, 20. Like, they're not watching, which kills me. They're not watching baseball, barely watching basketball, but they're not going to go to a guy's weekend and go to a baseball home and away somewhere and bet on the games like we did. That's not what they do. They didn't watch the games. So, but they're watching Call of Duty. They know Scomp, they know Formal, they know who's good. When they bet, they'll bet on that. And if it's super accessible, because that's the stuff they watch anyways, and they're going to go to events, that's what's going to happen. So there's so much tech behind that, from fantasy to prop betting to apps to Fubo baked into your over the top channel, your set top box.
Yep.
I think we're going to get inundated with it at some point, but I think it's going to be really big, and I think esports will be the core of it because there's a game every night, every day, every hour. There's something if you want to get involved in it, and it's going to be hard for these bookmakers to figure it all out and not create massive inefficiencies in the lines and everything.
It is fascinating watching it from a mature gambling market like Australia. Like, we've had sports gambling for many, many years. We've seen all the different bookmakers innovate, both with different bet types and different products to bring them in, and also, I guess, integrate with the sports to either from a partnerships point of view, and also then the other thing is the integrity point of view. Bringing in gambling, you've got to make sure that the results are there and the players are not affected or those kind of things. So, and then you've got the complexity of the state legislature that you've got in the US. We've got it all practically federally, and it's all covered. So there's a lot of opportunities there, both to innovate and bring revenue potentially to teams, and also grow interest in games. It'll be interesting to see how some sports change to, both their broadcast, but even their product to try to attract fans in from a gambling and sports betting point of view.
Oh, Adam Silver's already said that, that's a priority for the NBA. They want the NBA broadcast to look like Twitch. They want chat, they want stats, they want metrics and physical metrics of what's happening with the players, wearables. Like, it's going to be all over. I think it's very exciting. I think for esports, the big hurdle is going to be online. Like, if it's a live event, you can control it. If it's an online event, there's a lot of money at stake. I think things get more challenging when, like right now, you got people playing in their bedroom. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yep. Yeah, no, definitely. Like, there is a lot of things that have to be put in from an integrity point of view to make things right. But yeah, plenty of opportunity. One of the hottest topics in the NBA at the minute is NBA Top Shot and NFTs. Everyone seems to be wanting to create an NFT. What's your take on NFTs? Where do you think they might head?
I think it's fascinating. I've been trying to learn it. It's interesting, right? Like, why should it work? But then again, why shouldn't it work? Why is Bitcoin valuable? But then again, why is a dollar bill valuable? It's a piece of paper. So we're gonna experiment with it. Actually, partnering up with a company in Sydney. So we should have something out in April or May. But I'm totally down with it. It's interesting. I'm most fascinated with the rights owners. Who owns what? We have a famous, one of the most famous moments in esports was our Rocket League god Justin scored a 0-second goal in Game 7 of the championship. And who owns that? Like, I guess it's Epic, right? They own the broadcast, but can I do something with that and make it an artistic rendering, a reimagining of that? Is that okay? Can Justin do that? Who can use his name, the likeness, the rights? So I think it's kind of confusing, but I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, and I think that's a piece as, like, as a team owner, like, I would be able to, I would like the rights to be able to create an NFT of a highlight of our game. But that is something that has to be negotiated, with the publisher, because you're right, it's probably the Epic Games, the Riot Games that will say that they own that. But it also might be a really effective monetization strategy for players and for teams and build, for building out the ecosystem. So it's going to be interesting to see. The lawyers are always the last ones to move to the tech. The tech normally is in front of the lawyers. So there's a lot of, because you can NFT anything now. When you see Jack Dorsey selling his first tweet as an NFT, anything can be done. But you're right, it does come down to the rights.
The rights, and then, gosh, who knows, right? You can't really place bets because it's like art. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I guess.
Yep. So. And then the other part, again, from your background in the digital advertising space, that's going through a lot of change right now with the cookie apocalypse upon us, changes to iOS 14, privacy different. How do you think advertising's going to be affected with some of the changes that are coming in?
I think it's all super fascinating. I'm glad I'm not in that space anymore. What I think is going to happen for brands, what I like the space that we're in, is that they're going to start buying audience and community, not audience anymore. Like influencer in my mind becomes even more important. Not the company, not the show, not the celebrity, but the influencer and the community. And small communities can be billion-dollar businesses. And you don't then go to programmatic and you buy look-alike this and that and try and spam your ad out there. You're integrating into content. Especially short form content, I think, and social will be everything. So that fits in with the generation and the attention span and how they like to consume and where they like to consume. And it's a big shift, but I think it's happening right before our eyes. That's why we're doing so much short form content.
Yeah, and the thing is, the audiences that you're working with in the gaming and esports space, they've had ad blockers on for ages anyway. So saying that, the cookies are going to be turned off or they're not going to be available, they haven't been available for years for that generation because they're savvy enough to say, I'm going to opt out of that. I'm not going to be on that platform. And as an advertiser, it's always been hard. So, you're right. I think going, the mainstream attack of programmatic and putting your ad everywhere and plastering over the internet isn't going to work. Whereas you get a really powerful niche of an audience and a creator that knows their audience and knows how they can connect, because it is the same, like you said, 26,000 concurrents, but actually having that streamer being able to say something and drive action, you can't get that on other platforms. So it is going to present an opportunity because there's going to be a lot of advertising money that's moving around the market that people won't know where to be putting that money in. Like yourself, I'll be putting my hand up and saying, hey, let's do some great content and connect with fans that are actual real fans.
Yeah, the hard part will be that when you go to putting things on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all these others, like they don't have all the tracking, reporting, integration into the buy side that they're so used to. So for people with the money, so no tracking pixel, there's no double click system, and you want money from Omnicom, you have to be integrated into this. Like, it doesn't exist because the platforms don't give that. So it's going to be interesting, how quickly it happens and whatnot.
And do you think there'll be a rise in that kind of tech to be able to at least do some verification of that action, to be able to give some, I guess, peace of mind to the media buyers, to be able to say, I work with this influencer and I did see the mention and we did, and have something to track, and that will sort of be pushed by the advertisers?
I think so. They're going to say, I want to be here, but I need something. And I was a mobile entrepreneur and we didn't have any of that either, right? It was all experimental budgets. And then they said, hey, if you're going to do this, we need a tracking pixel. We need to verify. Can you integrate with our server? And eventually it happened. But it's a little harder because there's so many platforms and so many places where you add up together, like our Hot Pocket example. Like I told you, we blew it away, but we blew it away because we had a ridiculously cool YouTube video, and then we cut that up and put it on YouTube Shorts. We had an awesome TikTok as part of it. You can go down the list, right? Instagram story, and add it up to a lot of people. but they want to know more. How many duplicates? What was the frequency cap? Did it, how do I know it ran? That type of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be an interesting space. Like we've seen, we've all know that ad tech space has continued to grow with verification and all the different tools. It's made it really hard as an advertiser and a marketer. But that space in the world of gaming is still relatively sparse. So I think there'll be a lot of that tech moving into the world of gaming to produce and allow you to track some of that spend. And if it's trackable and it's been able to be ticked off by someone, it will actually help more of those hot pockets type deals to come through.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree.
So, Andy, I want to just, wrap up with the Sports Geek closing 5. Do you remember the first sports event you ever attended?
I think so. So I would say it's a Red Sox game. I begged my father to take me to a Red Sox Yankees. That's the big rivalry game, and we can only get we got tickets in the way up in the bleachers, and underneath it had an overhang, and it was hot as it was like 100% humidity. It was hot, and back then you could smoke, and all the smoke just ended up under that underhang, and I was like. Yeah. I remember I was like dying as a kid, but I didn't want to leave. My dad's like, let's go for a walk. And we walked around the whole stadium for like 2 hours. And that was the best. I saw like every bit of Fenway Park, which is the greatest stadium in the world. So I think that was my first one. Yeah,
a terrific stadium, Fenway. If you had, lucky enough to be there a couple of times, and you just walk in there and you can feel the history just envelop you when you walk in.
Yeah, every little nook and cranny is different.
Yeah, definitely. And you would have been to a lot of sports events in your time. Do you have a favourite food memory or a go-to food when you're at a sports event?
Go-to food. Let's see. It's probably Fenway sausage outside, getting a full sausage and pepper. I'd probably go with that. We have really great food at the Kings, but that's not the average fan food. So it would probably be that. Yeah.
Terrific. What's the first app you open in the morning?
Oh, well, it was my stock app until this month. Now it's a freaking disaster. So I try to avoid that all day. You know what? It's Twitter. I'm obsessed with Twitter. I'm on Twitter all the time. But making a quick challenge for Twitter is TikTok. So ever since we launched that Full Squad Gaming on TikTok, it's been intellectually, I mean, it's a blast, but intellectually, it's so curious. And that algorithm is so freaking good. Quick story, but I actually tweeted about it last night. My father, we were in Boston, and a big Boston company, Stride Right Shoes, makes kids' shoes. And back in the 70s, they had a hit sneaker called Zips, which was like yellow and blue, all these colored Z, and it was for little kids. And it was immortalized in Will Smith's song "Parents Just Don't Understand," where the parents went and bought him Zips instead of Adidas. But and there was this ad, and I was a little boy, and I was going to be in the ad, and it just didn't happen. I was devastated that I wasn't in the ad. Somehow TikTok served me up that ad from somebody's 70s nostalgia account, and I was just like, this is the greatest algorithm in the world. Like, this is unbelievable. So I'm fascinated with these machine learning, artificial intelligence, non-follower based discovery platforms are 100% the future and present, and that's why everyone's copying TikTok.
It's that non-follower piece. Like, we're not playing this. I've got to follow a whole bunch of accounts, and that has happened in other ones. It's like you literally just open it up, and then there's 3 hours gone. Like, it's just a rabbit hole, like, which YouTube has done for years and years, and people have done it, and it's the algorithms there. But this is like literally, it doesn't hardly know anything, and yet it starts serving you more and more entertaining pieces. The algorithm is amazing in that sense.
The flip side is not even what it gives you; it's just what you get. It's what it gives you as a content creator. I don't need to have 2 million followers to get a 2 million view video. It could just happen because it hit the algo and it was the right song and the right background and dance that day and whatever. And bam, someone who's got 6 followers gets 1 million views, and that's the carrot. Yeah.
And it is, and it's the classic keep testing content, like, because no one has the brief of creating a viral video. It's like you don't know, you don't get to choose. It's the algorithm's choice and the audience. I think I saw the NRL, the National Rugby League, shared a video of the linesman making the lines on the field in a torrential rain, and so it was literally just someone marking out a field in torrential rain. Yeah, millions of views because it was just fascinating, and then got on the algorithm right, and away it went. So it's funny to go away from a non-follower, talking about a non-follower platform. I'm going to now ask you if there's someone that you think the listeners should follow, that maybe you follow or you read, or someone that you tap on the shoulder to keep up to date. Is there someone that you suggest everyone should be following?
Let's see. Well, on TikTok, I'll put the plug for Full Squad Gaming, not just because it's ours, because what we're doing is so integrated. It's a story. It's only, you can go back to the first one. The story is Grady and Ben. They get up there as individuals and they say, "Hey, I'm Grady, I'm Ben. We're starting a gaming club, and this is our castle. And give us a week, and we'll show you why you should stay with us." And they did that, and they got a big follower base. And then they said, "Hey, everybody, I'm so thankful for all these people. We have 1 million people who follow us. If you follow us now, I'm going to print out everyone's icon, whatever that is, of your avatar. Yes. And we're going to tape it up here on the wall." And they taped up like 30,000 of it, and they grew to 1,000,005. And then now they're doing this release of TikTokers who've joined the squad, and they're up to 2 million. And it's just this, it sums up in my mind everything that's going on with content and gaming, and people wanting to be part of a community. So I think that part is fascinating.
Terrific. Well, you probably spoiled the result of the last question, but that's all right. Kevin Durant style, what social media platform is your MVP?
It's probably still Twitter. I can't live without it. There's no way you can keep up with esports and gaming without Twitter. But I love Twitter. I love TikTok. I'm fascinated with YouTube Shorts now. We launched the channel a month ago, and it's been great. I'm frustrated with regular YouTube. Just like, you spend all this time and money making a banger video, and you get a check for $800. So that's a lot of work to try and figure out how to grow. But those type of things. I haven't really done Clubhouse yet. Have you tried that?
No, I haven't been able to, because I'm stuck on Android Island. So it's not available on Android. But I have tried Twitter Spaces sort of has all the ability to come in and come over the top. It's but it's just, at the moment, it's just a little bit clunky. Like, you start a Twitter Space and it's a bit awkward to share people. I think I did one the other day, and I got bombed by a bunch of Ariana Grande fans that just wanted to talk about Ariana Grande. And I'm like, "Hey guys, you want to talk sports biz?" And they go, "No, we want to talk about Ariana Grande." I said, "Well, this isn't exactly what the surface is, But which is like early Twitter, when you would just talk to random people and you didn't know who was turning up. It was a bit like that. So I think if they put some rigor around it, there's it has some opportunities. But I also think, as someone who does regular audio in podcasting, I think Clubhouse and this social audio piece is having a moment, because a lot of people are locked away from home, locked at home and are missing connection. What's it going to look like, in 10, 12, 20 months time, when people are out and about again, and we can do live meetups and we can do conferences and those kind of things. So it's going to be interesting to see where it ends up falling, and also what smart content creators do with it. Like, what does someone like Full Squad Gaming do with a social audio type of platform like Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces? I think that's what we're waiting for, how people might use it, as opposed to just the product.
Yeah. Before we go, I'll give you one more that I've been listening to a lot, which is the Barstool Sports, which I'm a super big fan of everything they've built here. Shout out to Boston. They've become a media powerhouse, and we're definitely trying to copy a lot of what they do with NRG and how they create content. And their CEO has a podcast called Token CEO, and she's terrific. She's on the board of World Wrestling and some other things as well, but she's just super transparent. And if you're into starting your own business or seeing how these businesses develop over the years, from a guy in a Boston sports betting literally printed out piece of paper to podcast behemoth, and now just a cultural kind of lifestyle brand. This is a great one to listen to. It's called Token CEO.
Yeah, definitely. And it is a fascinating, like you said, a media business that's just grown out of a certain niche, a certain topic, certain type of fans, and they're doing content across multiple platforms. So, Andy, thank you very much for coming to the podcast. Where is the best place for people to connect with you on the internet?
My Twitter, because I'm on it all the time, much to the chagrin of my wife. So A Miller is my Twitter, @A_Miller, and my DMs are open. So if people have anything they like to talk about, I'll respond, maybe, hopefully. But
thank you very much for coming on the show, and I hope maybe we can catch up in your part of the world and catch a Kings game or catch an esports event sometime soon.
Yeah, vice versa. I'd love to come down there again because I loved it. My whole family loved it, and it's definitely like our second favorite place. So we will love to visit.
Yes, well, we're just going to get those vaccinations sorted and open up those travel borders, hopefully it can happen soon. For sure. All right, best of luck. Thanks for the time.
Learn from the Sports Geek Amplify Season 1 cohort. Timo, Vlast, Stellar Algo, Ubi Park, and Zoof. For more, go to sportsgeekamplify.com.
Thanks again to Andy Miller. You can reach out to him on Twitter. Send him a tweet, @Miller on Twitter. Tell him you listen to the episode, and please share the episode with friends. You can also reach out to Andy on LinkedIn. I will have tagged him on my post on LinkedIn. Please, if you've listened to the episode and enjoyed the episode, let him know. I really do appreciate it when the listeners reach out to guests and show their appreciation. Before I wrap things up, remember, I still want to work on big problems, and guess what? There's still a lot of big problems out there. Let's book a time for a call. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/phone call. As always, you can find everything you need at sportsgeekhq.com. You can find the latest links to all the episodes, including this one. All 300 episodes are available. You can go into the back catalogue. You can also find out more about the Sports Geek Amplify series. Really appreciative of the feedback we've been getting for the series. Check it out. Some really great businesses part of the Season 1 cohort that can help sports bounce back. You've got Vlast, you've got Timo, you've got Stellar Argo, you've got Ubi Park, you've got Zoof. Please check out those episodes. I really do think this series will be really helpful in helping sports bounce back. If you're interested in Season 2, please reach out. We're looking for new companies to be part of the Season 2 cohort of the Sports Geek Amplify series. As always, book in for the Sports Biz Zoom calls. They're holding them monthly on a variety of topics. Please check them out, sportsgeekhq.com/Zoom calls. That's it from me. As always, you can always reach me at Sean Callanan on most platforms or via email, sean@sportsgeekhq.com. Until next episode, my name is Sean Callanan, and you've been listening to Sports Geek.
We'd love your support on our Patreon campaign. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/Patreon. Have you listened to the Sports Geek Amplify series? Go to sportsgeekamplify.com to listen.